What we truly try to encourage with the Lean Go-to-Market for Founders framework is it's something that we can do and we have done in partnership with founders, but it's also something that founders can go ahead and execute on their own. And I have some resources I'm happy to share about that. But essentially, there's 5 steps to it. They're in a very specific order, and they're meant to be a simple way to get to a point where you have a strong understanding of what your go-to-market should be as you start to scale. So the first step is market research, and this is probably not a big surprise. It's super important. I think we all inherently know that, but felt really important to establish that before you can start investing in anything, you've got to do your homework, right? So what market research looks like is it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go in and, hire an expensive research firm or, do something really, really robust and proprietary by any means. But what it means is that you need to be spending a ton of time listening to the market. You need to be talking to your early users or your early customers as much as you can, as much time as you have time for as a founder. And you can also do sort of low resource things like conduct your own market surveys. You can do very 15, 20-minute chats with folks that could be potentially your ICP, which I'll get to next. But you got to have an ongoing motion of continuing to gather market feedback and paying attention to what's happening in the industry overall in order to be successful. So, we know that what things look like in a lot of industries a year ago do not look the same today. So having a pulse on what's happening in your industry is super, super important, both from your own product and your customer's perspective, but also from a competitive perspective. So that's another really important thing to have at this phase is have a mechanism for understanding what your competitors are doing and how they're capturing demand, right? So first is doing your market research and really thinking about that in the lenses, where are the gaps and where are the opportunities that I can lean into based on the things that I'm hearing in the market and the things that I'm reading in the market. The second step is all about defining your ICP or ideal customer profile. Yeah. This is one of the most important steps that you can be doing early on as a founder. And we see this all the time when we start working with founders, even founders who are in a later stage or growth stage. Is one of the first questions we ask is, what is your ICP, right? And oftentimes what we see is that the ICP is either very loose, there's way too many ICPs, it's very vague, it's not super defined, right? So it's overly broad. And so that is a big challenge because you can't really do anything before you have a really tightly defined understanding of who your ideal customer profile is. And oftentimes this means making hard trade-offs. So even if you have a product that could work for 5 or 6 different industries or different types of customers or different, sizes of businesses, it doesn't, you want to start off in the very beginning, especially before you have a lot of traction, and picking one, sticking with that one, being really detailed in how you're defining it. And then ideally that initial ICP is going to be a segment of your broader customer universe that is going to be ripe for early adoption. They're willing to try things. They're willing, or they have such a big need for what you're offering that they're going to start adopting it right away. So we do a lot in terms of messaging and workshops and all of that around ICP definition with our clients. But we also have resources that we can share where founders can go in and actually take our worksheets and frameworks and fill them out for themselves if they prefer to do that. So ICP definition is the second step. The third step segues very, very nicely, which is developing really compelling positioning and messaging. So once you have your ICP defined, the next step is to really articulate in a very unique and compelling way why your solution is the best one out there, right? And so the most basic way we think about this in the beginning is you basically have a Venn diagram where you have on one side, you have a list of all of the things that your very well-defined ICP cares about, right? Like think about from an attitudinal perspective. This isn't demographics or firmographics or anything like that. From an attitudinal perspective, what are they caring about? What's keeping them up at night? What's stopping them from their next promotion? What challenges and pain points are they experiencing, right? So you kind of capture that on the left side. And then on the right side, you capture what are the very unique things that your startup or company is offering in the market that's different from your competitors. So you have your value on one side, you have what your customer cares about on the other side. And then what you do is you bring that together, you look for commonalities and things that you can pull in to actually have a really tight value proposition from there. And once you've got your ICP, your messaging, the next thing to do is to start experimenting. And that's the really fun part. That's the part Tiff and I love to do the most is okay, we've got this initial hypothesis on what's going to work and who we're going to go after and what we're going to say to them. Let's actually start to test it in market. And so what we call this lean experimentation, because what we recommend is actually picking low to no cost channels to start and only doing one at a time, right? So it's going to get overwhelming and confusing and noisy otherwise. So you may want to say, okay, now I'm going to start testing this from an outbound prospecting standpoint. I'm going to see if these
Mhm.
messages are resonating with my ICP, or I'm going to start a social strategy and see if it resonates with my ICP. And then once you get a handle on like an initial, you start to see traction, you start to see that your customers are engaging with this messaging, then you can start to slowly add on and build into more channels and more strategies over time. So do one thing at a time, experiment, A/B test, see what works, and then continue to move on and expand your marketing strategy from there. And then the final thing as part of the framework is leveraging AI, right? So it would not be a go to market session in 2025 if we didn't talk about AI. And I really think that
Yeah.
there's so much happening in the AI space when it comes to go to market. I'm a little bit obsessed with it. Like I'm constantly reading and testing different tools and different strategies and different products that are out there that are meant to help me do my job more efficiently. And I would say, like, I don't recommend any founder taking taking that on as much as Tiff and I do, because this is our whole business. But you want to start to integrate AI powered tools to help you streamline your go to market motion. And the best way to think about this is, what you want to do is you want to look at your customer journey or your
Mhm.
like sales motion. And then start to think through, okay, like what pieces of this are taking a long time? What pieces are super repetitive? Where are we seeing gaps and insights, right? And how do
Yeah.
we bring that together with the help of AI, right? And it's not a replacement for anything that you're doing from a strategic standpoint, but there's a lot that you can do to augment the strategy that you're driving with a very small team with AI.